They said something that twisted your meaning. You tried to explain, to untangle the words. But the more you spoke, the deeper the knot became. And then came the silence, the kind that feels heavier than anger. You replay it in your mind. Every sentence, every tone, every look. You wonder if you were unclear, or if they just didn't want to understand. Being misunderstood feels like being erased while still being visible. You're there, speaking, but somehow your reflection in their eyes doesn't match who you are. And that quiet panic? That's not weakness. That's your brain trying to protect your story. Because every human being carries an invisible script, a fragile narrative that explains who we are, why we act, and how we want to be seen. When someone misreads that story, even slightly, the ground beneath us shifts. So before you call yourself too sensitive for overthinking it, know this: your mind isn't malfunctioning. It's defending coherence. In relationships, conversations, and even passing interactions, we rely on a delicate dance of shared meaning. We speak, not just to transfer information, but to maintain emotional symmetry. When that symmetry breaks, when someone interprets you in a way that doesn't fit your internal sense of self, it creates a shockwave. The same regions of the brain that register physical pain light up during social misunderstanding. It's not metaphorical, it's neurological. Your body literally experiences misinterpretation as danger. It means the map of who you are, the mental image others hold, is suddenly distorted. And since humans survive by being understood by their tribe, distortion feels like exile. That's why it stings when a friend assumes the worst. Why you spiral when your message gets taken out of context. Why you find yourself crafting imaginary clarifications in your head long after the conversation ends. You're not obsessing. You're repairing. Your brain is searching for narrative stability, trying to restore the story of you. The ego isn't pride or vanity, it's structure, the invisible scaffolding that keeps your identity intact. It says, I am this kind of person. I mean these kinds of things. I react for these kinds of reasons. When someone misunderstands you, it cracks that structure. Suddenly, there's a version of you in the world that doesn't match the one inside your head. That gap between self-image and external image is what causes emotional dissonance. Philosophers like Kierkegaard called it the despair of misrelation. Modern psychology calls it self-concept threat. Your mind interprets misunderstanding as evidence that your identity may not be coherent or communicable. That's terrifying, because we spend our lives building coherence. We want our actions, words, and values to make sense, to form a single, unified shape. When someone twists it, we feel not just misread, but misplaced. The natural impulse is to defend the narrative, to explain again, to justify, to overclarify. But sometimes, the more you explain, the more you confirm the misunderstanding. Because once someone's story about you becomes fixed in their mind, logic becomes irrelevant. They're no longer hearing your words. They're hearing their confirmation bias. Humans evolved in small groups where social cohesion meant survival. To be accurately understood was to be safe. To be misinterpreted as dangerous, deceitful, or unreliable meant potential exile. Your body still carries that ancestral algorithm. It doesn't know that your tribe today might just be a group chat or comment section. It still reacts as if social misunderstanding equals death. The tightening in your chest, the racing thoughts, the urge to correct every misquote or misconception. That's your survival circuitry in mistaking social confusion for existential risk. Your amygdala fires, flooding your system with stress hormones. You're not too emotional, you're ancient. And here's the paradox. The more threatened you feel, the harder it becomes to communicate clearly. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for reason and empathy, goes offline under threat. So you argue harder, but understand less. You talk louder, but connect weaker. That's why arguments on the internet escalate endlessly. They're not conversations, they're limbic battles for narrative control. Our sense of self is built from story. The brain organizes experience not as data, but as narrative sequences, beginnings, conflicts, resolutions. Every memory, every interpretation, every belief about yourself is a tiny film clip stitched into an ongoing movie called Me. When someone misunderstands you, it's as if they've walked into your film halfway and started rewriting the script. They interpret scenes without knowing the backstory. They assign motives to characters you never meant to play. And yet, your mind wants the movie to make sense. So it tries to edit around the misunderstanding, rationalizing it, replaying it, recontextualizing it. That's why you lie awake constructing alternate dialogues, versions of the conversation that could have restored your image in their eyes. You're not obsessed with the person, you're obsessed with narrative consistency. Because your brain doesn't just want peace, it wants continuity. And here's the insight most people miss. You don't get calm by fixing the misunderstanding. You get calm by accepting that your story exists in two versions now, theirs and yours, and both can coexist without invalidating you. Calm isn't suppression, it's self-translation. It means communicating to your own nervous system that you are still safe even when you are not understood. Try this. Instead of defending your meaning, describe your emotion. Instead of "you got me wrong," say, "I feel unseen right now." This moves the conflict from the battlefield of right and wrong to the field of empathy, where nervous systems can synchronize instead of compete. Breathing helps, but not in the cliché sense. Slow breathing signals the vagus nerve that it's okay to downshift from fight or flight to rest and digest. It tells your body the tribe isn't leaving. It's just momentarily confused. You can train this calm the same way you train a muscle, through exposure. Every time you resist the urge to over-explain, your brain learns that misunderstanding isn't fatal. It rewires expectation from "I must be understood to feel safe" to "I can feel safe even when misunderstood." That shift is liberation. Being misunderstood might be the most radical form of peace you can cultivate. It means trusting that your truth doesn't need universal verification. When you stop chasing correction, you start conserving energy. That energy becomes available for creation, reflection, growth. Some of the most profound thinkers, artists, and leaders in history were misunderstood, not because they failed to communicate, but because they spoke ahead of their time. They learned to live with the gap between intention and perception. Misunderstanding, then, isn't failure. It's freedom from dependence on perception. It's the silence in which authenticity grows teeth. You can let people misread you, because they will anyway. And those who are meant to understand eventually will, without you needing to script it. The goal of communication isn't perfect translation, it's self-revelation. Every misunderstanding teaches you more about how you see yourself than how others see you. When someone misinterprets your kindness as weakness, do you tighten or clarify? When your confidence is read as arrogance, do you shrink or stand? Each misreading reflects a tension between your identity and your presentation. It's a mirror test for ego flexibility. And the truth is, clarity begins inward. The more peaceful you are with your internal contradictions, the less shaken you'll be by external distortions. The calmest people are rarely the most understood. They're simply the least dependent on being so. When the moment comes, when someone twists your words or questions your motives, pause. Don't rush to defend the image of yourself they distorted. Ask, what am I trying to protect right now, my truth or my approval? If it's approval, breathe. If it's truth, express it once, cleanly, and let silence carry the rest. You can't control interpretation. You can only choose integrity. The practice is simple, but not easy. Detach from reputation, return to intention. Detach from accuracy, return to honesty. That's what calm is, not indifference, but anchored presence. You're not avoiding the storm. You're standing still enough to realize the storm is in the air, not in you. You were never meant to be perfectly seen. Language itself is imperfect, a translation of emotions into sound, filtered through memory, culture, fear, and bias. To be human is to be approximated. To be at peace is to accept that approximation without resentment. The next time someone misreads your tone, your silence, your meaning, let them. Because calm isn't found in being understood. It's found in no longer needing to be.